Hey there everyone, JFez back. We're going to be talking some more about MARINCESS, of course. As always, this time around we are doing MARINCESS ICEJADES. It's a deck that I think adds a lot more consistency and a lot more interactions, especially with a mechanic where you get to draw another card. So we see that from MARINCESS Bubble Beef. And we're going to see it with ICEJADE aight. Let's just go into it. Let's get to the deck profile, the deck list, and we'll talk about the interactions that we are going to be seeing here today. Okay, so this took a bunch of tweaking, but I think in general this is a very consistent deck, and I think I got the ratios correct to how I want them. There are some problems that I've come across, especially bricking, but sometimes I'll brick and it won't be the worst thing in the world, because I'm still able to do something like set ICEJADE aight and then pass turn. Yeah, you don't want to do that, but you know, let's just talk about it. So what I've done is, for my starter cards, I have put MARINCESS Blue Tang and MARINCESS Seahorse both at 3 and Pascalis down to 2. So Pascalis down to 2. I don't really care about drawing this card. I don't care about normal summoning it first. If I'm able to get it to special summon, which we'll talk about here in a second, that's pretty cool. And then I can send out, you know, Blue Tang, Seahorse, or Mandarin out there to follow the Pascalis. But in general, I don't. This card is really tricky, because normal summoning it with this deck is not the best. If I want to normal summon anything, I think it'll be aight or Blue Tang. But even then, aight, not that great. Blue Tang, yes, a lot better. But really, what I'm really trying to do with this deck, honestly, I'm trying to normal summon later on in my turn. I'm trying to do that later so that I'm able to throw out that Crystal Heart and then get the Bubble Beef out there. Or I get to normal summon and then, you know, make Bahamut Shark. Totally awesome. Or if I'm going second, Silent Honor Arc and then, you know, remove a card from my opponent's field. So the normal summon, don't want it from Pascalis. That's why I brought it down to 2. Mandarin is down to 1 because I can search it with Blue Tang, or I can use Signet Mining in some cases. Or, you know, Triple Tactic Talents is able to pull that out. So definitely what I did, I don't remember what I did with the last YouTube video, but I took out Pot of Desires because Pot of Desires will just completely mess this all up. I don't have 3 of most cards. You know, aight down to 2, Pascalis is 2, Mandarin's at 1, Nibiru's at 2, and, you know, banishing those at any point would make Crossout Designator, you know, pretty useless, because I need Crossout Designator to avoid being Nibiru'd. That being said, yeah, Mandarin to 1, if I'm able to search it or send it to the graveyard, it's a great extender as always. And speaking of extension, we're going to be talking about the ICEJADES now. So ICEJADE, Tremora, ICEJADE aight. This is an engine that I threw in to both extend and start plays, but also really I'm able to build. I'm able to build off of my opponent's turn, especially during the battle phase when we're looking at aight. Right now the card being highlighted. And also it can be used to, you know, keep my Totally Awesome out there. These 2 cards synergize pretty well with my Totally Awesome. If I have these cards in my hand while Totally Awesome's out there during my opponent's turn, I get to use the Omni-Negate. I'll just send either Tremora or aight to the graveyard instead of Totally Awesome. But yeah, to go into the engine, ICEJADE Cradle is what I'm going to be using a lot of the time to bring Tremora into my hand. But if I have both Tremora and Cradle in my hand, then I'm bringing aight out. And that's, you know, perfect. But most of the time, Tremora is what I'm going to be using to send itself to the graveyard and then special summon any water monster from my hand. This is really cool, and I really think that there is an instance where I think there's a deck that I can build for both ICEJADES and Sea Serpents, and it'll just be crazy the opportunities that I get to bring Molin Glacia out onto the field. So MARINCESS Sea Serpents is another deck that I want to build. I want to bring it up another day. I'm going to go through test hands, I'm going to go through duels, and I'm going to see what I can do with that out of it. I think MARINCESS becomes the second engine of that deck instead of being the prior or being the prominent one, but we'll just work on it. We'll get there. But this card is really cool for getting to start my plays. This is an extension of itself. It's an extender of its own while also starting to play. Is an extender because I don't have to use my normal summon to get Pascal, Seahorse, Mandarin, Pluto, none of them. I don't have to use my normal summon for any of them. Usually what ends up happening is that I get to pitch this into the graveyard and then send Blutang out there, and then you know the combo from there, Seahorse. Or if I have Pascalis in my hand already, or I'm sorry, if I already have Seahorse in my hand, then it's Mandarin, and then we can use, we can use Blue Slug to bring Blutang back into my hand, and then we can use Coral Anemone to bring Pascalis out there, and Pascalis will get to special summon Blutang, and then boom, we get a Bahamut Shark. That's really cool. ICEJADES Acti, this one is pretty cool too. So if I end up having, Blutang, Pascalis, Tremora, and Acti in my hand, then Pascalis will normal summon out there to bring Blutang out there, and then I'll use Tremora to special summon Acti out there, and Acti will pitch a water monster from my hand to draw a card. For the most part, I'm kind of not caring too much about using Acti's effect on summon to pitch a water monster, because I kind of need as much water monsters in my hands as possible. But the cool thing is, yeah, the point of this deck is that Tremora is saving my normal summon for later. So if I get to go through everything and then, bring 2 water monsters into my hand through the effects of Coral Anemone or Marbled Rock, most of the time it'll just be Coral Anemones. When it's sent to the graveyard, bring a MARINCESS monster from the graveyard to my hand, a water monster, of course. Then I get to normal summon, pitch it, and then draw a card. Hopefully it's one of my hand traps, Effect Veiler, Infinite Impermanence, MARINCESS Wave. It's just a really cool card, and I brought it down to 2 because I would want to be able to search it. I want a higher chance to see Tremora in my opening hand and Cradle. And Acti will have to be, the lower probability. I'll just have to search it, and I'm completely fine with that, especially with the tools of ICEJADES Cradle and Triple Tactics Talent. So the next interaction in this engine that I really want to talk about is how both Tremora and Acti behave in the graveyard, how they interact. If a water monster that I control is destroyed by battle, either of these gain this effect, is that I can banish the card that I'm using to special summon another ICEJADES monster from the hand or graveyard. So absolutely, I'm trying to send both of these into the graveyard if possible. And I do have a test hand where that happens. Essentially what's going to be happening is that you, on your opponent's turn, if your water monster is destroyed by battle or card effect also works, I'm banishing Tremora face up, and if I have Great Bubble Reef up there, that's plus 600 more attack that Great Bubble Beef is going to get. Acti is then going to special summon itself from the graveyard, and then I get to pitch a water monster, which I probably already have from either Coral Anemone or from Bubble Reef draw during the standby phase. However, you do have to think about it sometimes, because as much as you want that, are you going to get that Effect Veiler? Are you going to get that cross out? Are you going to get that MARINCESS Wave? Who knows? It's just up to your own judgment, but I think it's a really cool mechanic for, removing a monster that you potentially don't need in your hand and getting a trap. So that's it for the ICEJADES engine. It's pretty straightforward, but it's got a lot of cool interactions with it. So I get to both start a play and extend it so that I can use a normal summon later on. I get to draw a card by pitching a water monster from my hand. I get to special summon from the graveyard, and then most of the time that will be Acti, pitch a water monster again, draw, and also I get to use either of these in my hand if they're in my hand, for a Totally Awesome's effect. So let's just finish out the rest of this deck profile. For hand traps, we do have 3 Effect Veilers and 2 Nibiru the Primal Being. I mostly have these 2 just because I only have them at 2 just because I want them for Crossout Designator. I don't really care to use Nibiru, especially if my opponent's going second and I have Nibiru in hand. I kind of don't want to tribute my Great Bubble Beef if it's out there. I really don't want to do that. Following that, I do have a Called by the Grave and 3 Infinite Impermanence, of course. Combined with the Effect Veiler and the Nibiru are great targets for Crossout Designator and all cards that really can make my deck struggle. So I think this is a good mix, a good ratio of hand traps that I want. MARINCESS Waves, of course. Called by the Grave, yeah. I brought MARINCESS Battle Ocean down to 2. I know some people that go only 1, and that's completely fine, but I've ran into trouble where if you only have 1, it's kind of bad, especially the Cosmic Cyclone. Like, Cosmic Cyclone can make running only 1 horrible. It's horrible. Cosmic Cyclone is just horrible for Battle Ocean. There's nothing. I was gonna say there's nothing to bring a Battle Ocean back. Great Bubble Reef can bring any MARINCESS monster back. It can't bring a spell back. So Battle Ocean down to 2, and sometimes that's all I need, except for it's a really extended duel where things are kind of going back and forth. Again, very last video, we'll kind of see how that became a problem. But yeah, moving on. Ice Jade Cradle, Signet Minings, of course, Triple Tactics Talent, I think is like one of the best cards for this deck. I just love it so much. Crossout Designator, of course, protecting myself, and we've already talked about MARINCESS Wave, Infinite Impermanence. They are twinsies. Going on to the extra deck, I think everything's generally the same except for that I included the number 101 Silent Honor Arc. But yeah, let's just go over it. 2 MARINCESS Sea Angels, 2 Blue Slugs, Crystal Heart, 1 Crystal Heart, 2 Coral Anemones, 2 Marble Rocks, a MARINCESS Wonder Heart, a MARINCESS Great Bubble Beef, an Axis Code Talker. I'm not sure if that's new, but that is something that I definitely need to buy. I need to buy this card because it could really do really well in this deck. It's just a little bit tricky because if you do use Blue Slug or Coral Anemone's effects, you are locked into water monsters, and Access Code Talker, unfortunately, is not a water monster. Moving on from that, yeah, we do have the Silent Honor Arc. I think this is great for going second. I hardly have ever built this. I don't think I've ever built this. But if you can get around, if you can bait out those traps, those card effects, and then get to Silent Honor Arc and remove a monster from your opponent's field to attach to this, I think it's a wonderful card. And finally, we have Bahamut Shark and Totally Awesome. I also definitely switched up my side deck. I now have 3 Droll Lockbirds because there are some decks I do not like. Artifact Lancia. Yeah. Token Collectors, of course, up against the Sword Soul strategy if I ever come across them. We also have Dark Ruler No Mores, obviously, and Lightning Storms. Back row access or back row denial. Yeah, I think this is a pretty solid side deck. Do I see myself changing it? Yeah, I do. The token collectors, I think, are the ones that look the most sus, but especially since I'm only using it for the Sword Souls. But I did go against the Sword Soul, and not having token collector hurt my feelings. It really hurt my feelings. So there it is. That is the deck build. That is the profile for it. I think it's really cool. Let's just go ahead and let's show you some test hands. Okay, so there you have it. Those are my test hands. Something that I kind of realized while running through all those test hands is that I can just send Wonderheart out there instead of Great Bubble Beef, because sometimes I don't have that luxury of having Crystal Heart out there, because I found more value in the Totally Awesome being out there as an Omni Negate to kind of help things out. Just the power that Wonderheart has during battle is really useful, especially if I have Marincess Wave out there. Wave will just, cancel a monster out and then protect every card that is face up on the field from card effects. So that is really cool. I hope I said monster, every face up monster on the field. So Battle Ocean will still need a bit of protecting, and if Battle Ocean leaves, then yeah, it makes it makes life a little bit more difficult. But Wonderheart will still have cards equipped to it that it can, special summon out and then negate the battle. So yeah, Wonderheart out there if I can't get Crystal Heart going, but that's not the end of the world. So let's just see how duels went, and yeah, enjoy. You'll probably see again, very new Yu-Gi-Oh player. So you'll definitely see some misplays here and there, but these are games that I've won, except for the last one that I lost against Floowandereeze, against my boy Natsu Fairy Tale. He was really giving me the lay of the law in that game. But it was really cool to kind of understand a little bit more of how Floowandereeze works, and then what I can do going into tournaments against other Floowandereeze players. And I think there is a good solution, which is Molinglacia. I think the last video that I did, Molinglacia was in there. Yeah, again, that's why I'm talking about the Sea Serpent and Marincess combination in a deck. But we'll save all of that for later. My apologies. We'll save all of that for later, and we'll get into the following matches against some pretty fun and interesting decks. Okay, there you have it. Those were some really, really fun duels. And like I said, you're going to find a lot of misplays as I continue to learn this wonderful trading card game that we know as Yu-Gi-Oh! But one last time, thank you so much for coming over to my channel, checking out this video, watching it through. If you did, you're a homie. Please help me out. Let me know if you like this. Leave a like, subscribe, comment. Interact with me, see if you got something in mind for the MARINCESS deck, or is there another deck that you want to see me learn? Because I'll definitely learn whatever deck that people want to see me learn. Right there, follow me on my social medias, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, JFez8, all of that. If you want to watch me live duel here using the Edo Pro, that'll be JFez8 at Twitch, so twitch.tv/JFez8. I'll be there. I'll be keeping track of whoever follows, and then I'll be doing a whole bunch of duels. Very excited about that. Again, thank you so much, and I'll see you around on the next one.